Hey folks, welcome to the Guns, Gear and Grub channel. As you all know, not too long ago, Hurricane Sandy rolled through the Northeast, and it caused damage and destruction and havoc, the likes of which haven't been seen in many years through any storm-related event in the past. Gotta be since that big hurricane back in I think it was 1931, in which most of Long Island and other parts of the Northeast were destroyed. Now, one of the biggest issues people had were people who lived in the coastal areas was the storm surge caused unprecedented flooding, and many people's basements got flooded. Now, for those of us who are big gun fans and gun owners, one of the most common place that people keep their firearms is their basements. And many people's firearms, ammunition, and other sporting related equipment were not only submerged in water, they were also submerged in salt water. And for the past few days I've been helping out buddies whose firearms were under water, and they, by the time they get to pull them out, they were pretty much rusted beyond recognition. As you can see, I have a whole bunch of different firearms and parts that I've been cleaning little by little. And I want to do a video about how to go ahead and restore a firearm that's been very badly damaged by corrosion. Now, I have here a very good friend of mine's Winchester 1200, and as you can see from the rust spots here, this thing is bad conditions, in bad shape. It was submerged for a good few days, so they go ahead and get this basement pumped, and it was submerged not only in water, but it was also salt water. So this is going to be a couple part series. The first part is going to be going ahead and getting rid of all the rust, and the second part is going to go ahead and be how to go ahead and restore the finish. Whether it's going to be either cold bluing, hot bluing, or it's going to go ahead and either Cerakoted or Duracoated. I'm not really sure how we're going to go ahead and finish this. We're going to go ahead and see how bad this thing's been damaged, and how bad the pitting is, and what parts we can salvage and what parts we can't go ahead and salvage. Both sides of this thing have been very badly corroded. The good news for him is that the receiver's in good condition, because the receiver's aluminum, and aluminum doesn't really rust that easily at all. The bolt inside's pretty badly rusted, and it can barely function, and the trigger barely works. So first things first, let's go ahead and get this thing stripped and see how bad the insides are. Okay folks, here's the shotgun broken down to its most basic components. As you can see here, it looks worse than it, taken apart than it actually did in one whole piece. As you can see here, as I broke it down, this the trigger hoop looked really bad. It, the more I took apart, the more layers I peeled back, the worse it stank, kind of like an onion. Now, to go ahead and use the WD40 steel wool method, it's really simple. I just go ahead and take myself a little metal tin like such, or you can use a plastic tray, whatever. And anywhere you have rust, you just go ahead, spray on the, get it on the surface. Just wanted to show you the little rust here. Get it on the surface and start scrubbing away. And yeah, this will take a while. It's really better for areas that aren't pitted, but as I'm starting to see here, this is pretty badly pitted in certain spots. But just to go ahead and show how to do it, and it takes a while, so I'm not going to do everything here and put it all in the video because it'd be quite boring. Why don't we just scrub this the magazine tube handguard. But it worked a lot better on the tube part than the charging arms. I don't know if you can see it, but you see there, the rust is coming off. It's exposing the bare metal because that's kind of pitted there. But you can see the rust is starting to come off. And get it on there also. Doesn't hurt to soak it either for a couple of minutes before you do this, or an hour or so. It'll help it a little bit, make it a bit easier to come off. But you can see this piece is kind of starting to shape up. I have here one of the worst rusted parts of the firearm, which is the barrel. And as you can see, this is pretty bad here. Now, I want to show here one of the best kept secrets of rust removal, and that is Naval jelly. Now, I don't know why a lot of people haven't heard about this stuff, but it is the bee's knees. It is great stuff. I myself learned about it from I was at the range and I was talking about rust removal in my firearms, and there's about a 70-year-old man who had been in the Navy for like 20 years, and he said this is what they call it, naval jelly. They actually use this on the ships to remove rust from any metal surface. The only downside of this is that besides the rust, it also removes the finish. But as you can see here on this barrel, it doesn't really go ahead and matter if it removes some finish, because the finish is more or less destroyed. We have to repaint this entire shotgun anyway. So in order to go ahead and work this correctly, what you want to do, I'll show you a little spot here, is go ahead and remove any loose rust that you can. So I'm going to do this little spot over here, and take my steel wool and just remove some loose rust from this area. Just so you can go ahead and get an idea how this stuff works. Yeah, I'll do it to about here. I'll do this entire barrel to about here so you can see how it works. There we go. Now we're going to go ahead and take our Naval jelly and apply it liberally. Now, you can apply it with a cloth, you can apply it with Q-tips, however you want to do it, a brush. I'm actually going to use a brush, actually. I forgot about this brush. Just apply it on there. Get it in all the rusted spots. You want to let it sit for about 10 minutes or so. The more rusted it is, the more you want to let it sit. If you get it on any finished areas, you want to go ahead and remove that off of the finished areas that's not rusted, but since this thing is all completely rusted, it doesn't really matter. So there's the surface that I went ahead and put it on, and I'm going to go ahead and leave this untouched, just to go ahead and get a comparison out of it when we're finished. So we're going to come back in about 10 to 15 minutes and we'll see how it looks. Okay folks, I've allowed this Naval jelly to sit here for about 15 minutes or so. So I'm going to go ahead and wipe it off with a paper towel now and see how much of it came off, how much of the rust came off. As you can see already, the finish is completely removed. Let's go ahead and remove this and see how it looks. Just one thing, always use gloves when using Naval jelly. It has phosphoric acid and it can be kind of irritating to the skin and a bit dangerous, obviously, if swallowed or ingested or gets in the eye. So just be careful when using this stuff. So let's go ahead and see this. And there you have it. You can see it's pretty much, it's obviously stripped the metal down to the, stripped the finish down to the bare metal. It's got 99% of the rust out. You can see some pits there. Some of it's going to have to come out a little bit more with either another coating of Naval jelly or just a quick go on the wire wheel for a couple minutes just to go ahead and remove all that excess stuff. One thing they do recommend is to go ahead to stop the action of the acid harming the metal, to go ahead and rinse this in water after you finished using it. Just also for further reference, I've gone ahead and put a little spot of naval jelly there on this heat shield just to show what it would look like had you gone ahead and just had a small spot rust to remove, and not a whole big rust issue on a whole big part. So here you see, just removed a little bit of the finish, and removed actually the rust down to the pit. You can see the pits there. Now I'm not going to go ahead and save this heat shield because it's not worthwhile, but if you took this to a wire wheel, you would have a lot more, probably be a lot more area removed of the finish. So if you want to go ahead and remove some pitted, some beyond surface rust that is worked its way into some metal area that's relatively small, I recommend the Naval jelly. If you're going to go ahead and remove it off an entire thing, this ideally I would have gone ahead and blasted this part here to remove an entire thing. But to remove a few areas that are just lightly pitted or beyond surface rust, and you don't want to go ahead and refinish the entire part, go ahead and use the Naval jelly. Okay, folks, here you have the barrel that was, that the rust was removed with half with Naval jelly and half left alone. And you see here, I took this to the wire wheel for about 35 seconds, 40 seconds, something like that. And I removed all the little spots that were left. And you see here all the pitted surfaces. And what you have here is a surface that's ready to go ahead and accept a metal finish. I mean, a finish of some sort, whether it be a Duracoat or Cerakote or a bluing, or you want to hit it with just some spray paint, because this isn't exactly an expensive firearm here. Now, the only way this would have been easier is to go ahead and use a bee blaster and a blast cabinet. But if you don't have a bee blaster and you don't have a compressor and a blast cabinet, all that stuff, go ahead and just cover the whole thing with Naval jelly and wipe off and hit it with the wire wheel, and you'll leave yourself with a bare metal surface that's pretty much ready to go ahead and accept a finish of some sort. Okay, folks, I'm going to end part one of the video here just because I don't really have enough time to go ahead and do it all on video right now and remove all the rust off that Winchester 1200. It's been quite a mess here with helping buddies out, helping myself out, just kind of reversing all the damage that the hurricane went ahead and did. Just a few things to note: that some things aren't worthwhile to go ahead and repair. How much is your time worth? Quite frankly, I told my buddy that this heat shield, because it's a couple of bucks and it's damn sheet metal, cost him, I think it cost him probably $7 or $8. He's in the business, so it's really not worth it for me to go ahead and remove the rust off this, or to go ahead and bother with this, because for the time it takes, it's much easier to go ahead and just replace that part for a few dollars. So keep that in mind when going ahead and doing this. Don't go overboard. How much is the time worth? How much is the rifle worth? If the rifle were any cheaper, I would say, you know what, maybe just scrap it and go ahead and get a new one. But it shouldn't be that bad. It'll take me a couple of days to go ahead and finish this up, because only a couple hours here and there, and just a lot of elbow grease. And look for it in a couple of weeks. I'll have another video up of me doing finishes. I'm going to show some cold bluing techniques. I'm going to try and show some hot bluing and maybe some Duracoat and some Cerakote techniques. That'll have to do with the shop. But so look for, watch, the next couple of weeks. Look out for part 2 of this video. I'll show you this whole entire rifle reassembled with all the rust removed, and we'll see how it functions, and we'll see what parts are replaced and what had to be thrown away, and I'll keep you guys updated. So thanks for watching.